Kamala Harris and Tim Walz finally met with the press. Well, sorta. They did a 40-minute plus interview with Dana Bash that CNN then would not release until they edited down to the best 18 minutes they could find and refused to release a transcript. And now people are asking, is CNN a news organization or a public relations company for the DNC? Claire, if you saw the press interview, I'm putting that in air quotes because it wasn't a press interview. It was, as best as I could gauge it, as a public relations sit down with Dana Bash at CNN. There was a 41-minute recorded interview of Kamala and her wingman, Tim Walz, that CNN would not broadcast live. In fact, they did it on delay and they recorded 41 minutes and cut it down to 18 minutes. And it's as if CNN works for the Democrat Party and they picked and chose the best of the worst, I suppose you could call it, in this interview to make Kamala less bad. And the limited time that Tim Walz was on to allow him to be introduced to the American public. I was just flabbergasted. It wasn't softball questions. They were tossed underhanded as if it was a wiffle ball game with third graders. And even then, there were no follow-up questions. It was the worst example of non-journalism by a, quote, journalist, unquote, I have ever seen in American political history. The experienced journalists around the country, even some on the Democrat side of the aisle, are just astounded that the interview was that bad. What's your take on what you saw?
Well, I don't suppose they're going to, the handlers that is, are going to allow the two of them, Kamala Harris and Tim Walz, to do anything like that again. Of course, there's the debate coming up in, I guess, just about another week or so from now between Kamala Harris and President Donald Trump. We'll see how that goes. But the whole thing looked like it had been staged and run by, I don't know, the backup team or something. First of all, the scene as it was set there, which I saw somewhere described as it looked like an empty restaurant in an airport with empty coffee cups on the table and people sitting around waiting for the next flight after they missed their plane. And then just the staging of the people at the table, right? So you have Kamala facing the camera, right, at the top end of the table, but she's looking quite petite and kind of shrunken. Anybody knows that when you take a photo, those people closest to the camera are going to look bigger, whether even they are or not. And Dana Bash is not all that big, but of course, Tim Walz is a big, husky guy. And what that did, the overall scene, kind of dark too, lighting, it just minimized Kamala Harris and made her look small. And that was before she even opened her mouth.
So what about content-wise? Was she? They always talk about acting presidential. Did she act presidential from your point of view?
No. The poor thing, she tried to answer the questions in the 18-minute cut that they publicized. I don't think there was a transcript put out either of the entire 41 minutes either. So we don't know that. We don't have that either.
Release it.
No. So it must have been really bad. But in those 18 minutes, she kind of struggled to lay out her policies, to explain, to answer questions. And as you said, Dana Bash did not really follow up as a real journalist would have done. And, you know, Tim Walz, her emotional support partner there, got to answer, I don't know, one or two questions maybe that were released in the 18 minutes. He didn't do very well on his military background either.
Can't wait for the debate. Get your popcorn and beer ready. It's going to be something.